I'm going to do a little tutorial for you on hair. Hair can be very tricky because what I get a lot of times is people will just start making a bunch of lines and try and say that, okay, my hair is made out of a bunch of lines, so I should draw a bunch of lines, right? Maybe some of them can be darker, maybe some of them can be lighter. And that's kind of one way to approach it, but it's not going to look very realistic. It's going to make it look very flat. So to make your hair look realistic, like it has shape to it and form to it, the first thing you want to do, like I said before, is to find those basic shapes and trace around your highlights and your shadows. Put those shapes down there, the shape of your shadows, the shape of your highlights, and it's going to get confusing and messy when you look at it in the drawing, but if you're following your picture, you'll be able to say, oh yeah, okay, that was a highlight. Then I get the colors, like the basic colors of my hair. So I've got brown hair, and then maybe in the highlights I've got like a lighter brown, or this color is called yellow ochre. That's a nice one for hair. I might even mix in a little bit of skin color and definitely some white for my highlight areas and maybe a little bit of black. So get yourself a range, and then of course grab those expressive colors that we're going to mix into our shadows. So I've got a few shades of blue here. So I'm going to put those to the side for now. And when I start doing this, I always like to start with my lighter colors first so that they don't get all smudged and gross. I'm going to put some white down. Oop, that was dirty. Make sure you clean your pastels with a paper towel. Okay, that's a little better. So I'm going to put some white down in my highlights first. Then I'm going to go to my shadows, and I'm going to get like my basic brown color here. I have brown hair, so that's what I'm going to use. And you know what's really nice about hair? If you mess up, just change the color there. Like, your hair changes all the time, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Now I'm going to add a little bit of black where those lines were, just so I have some real good definition in my shadows. And now I'm going to go back with this like yellowy mid-tone that I had and kind of put some stripes through my highlights. I'm starting in the brown area and I'm going into the highlights. So start in brown and go in. And that's going to give a nice gradual, like, look at that one right there. Look how pretty that is, how it goes from brown to yellow to white. It just pulls that color in. So I start in the brown and I pull it into the white, into the highlight. I don't want to have white highlights necessarily, unless my hair is like dirty and shiny. Maybe even pull in a few brown streaks into there. Now, if you have short hair or curly hair, this is going to be the same thing. You're just going to do smaller shapes. And then I'm going to pull some of that yellow into the brown, going the opposite way. So starting in the middle and going out. I'll even do a few little black lines into my brown areas. Zoom out a little bit. Not too much of the black, because black doesn't just make it darker, it makes it duller. And you don't really want it to be dull. Now, as for blending, you can blend this with your finger and get rid of those white spots, but you know what happens? It all turns into this big, mushy, blended shape, and you don't want that necessarily. You can do that first, but then you want that texture. You really want that texture of the oil pastels in your hair. So if you do blend it, go back over it again one more time with your colors. And don't forget to add those expressive colors in your hair. Just in the shadows, just a few lines. Yeah, it seems crazy, but we're being expressionists here. I don't want it to look like I have blue hair, so I'm not just going to do it all blue, but that would be pretty cool if I did. A little bit of the light blue in the highlight part. Now over here where I didn't blend it first, you can get away with going a little more crazy in your hair. Okay, so just remember those shapes of the highlights and the shapes of the shadows, and that's going to keep your hair feeling more 3D and looking more realistic. And then if you have a background, let's say I did like a blue background next to my hair, one final touch might be to add like some little wisps of hair. And that's the final thing you would do.